Look at yourself right now. Science proves auditory processing is the very last sense to shut down at clinical death, exactly as Islamic tradition established 14 centuries ago. As you are placed into the earth, the soul enters Barzakh, the barrier described in Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse 100, where the soul transitions beyond physical biology. Prophet Muhammad revealed in Sahih al-Bukhari, 1374, the deceased hears the exact footsteps of their companions as they walk away, leaving them completely alone. Every single material status you spent a lifetime building dissolves into darkness. As hadith literature authenticates, only your deeds accompany you past the soil. Listen carefully. The authentic hadith of Al-Bara ibn Azib in Musnad Ahmad details the arrival of the two angels, asking, "Who is your Lord? What is your religion?" Look at what happens next. In the Quran, Surah Qaf verse 19 reveals, "And the stupor of death will come in truth. That is what you are trying to escape." As Prophet Muhammad warned in Sunan an-Nasa'i, the grave squeezes every soul, a crushing compression known as Dakhtat al-Qabr, sparing no one. Surah Al-Isra verse 85 teaches, "And they ask you concerning the soul. Say, the soul is of the affair of my Lord, and of knowledge you have not been given except a little. Every single companion walking above departs." In Sahih Muslim 2870, the Messenger of Allah explained that the dead hears the final fading footsteps, entering complete solitude. Surah Al-Anbiya verse 35 reminds us, "Every soul will taste death, and we test you with evil and with good as trial, and to us you will be returned." This is the moment the subject realizes the physical distance between the living and the dead is not just measured in feet, but in the very nature of perception. The laughter, the weeping, and the prayers offered at the graveside start to lose their linguistic meaning. They become rhythmic, oceanic pulses that gradually retreat, leaving behind a silence so absolute it has a sound of its own, a high silver ringing of pure isolation. This distortion is the first true severing of the cord. It is the beginning of the great silence, where the soul must finally stop listening for the world above and start listening to the echoes within. By the third hour, the transition moves from the ears to the mind. The psychological shift is subtle but relentless. For decades, the subject's consciousness has been anchored by the physical world, the warmth of the sun on the skin, the sharp bite of a winter wind, the specific curve of a spouse's smile. These were the pillars of reality. But in the total sensory deprivation of the grave, these memories start to feel like a distant, fading dream. A forensic expert might point out that the brain's chemical activity has ceased, but in this documentary of the soul, we observe the spiritual fading of these attachments. Think of it as a photograph left out in the sun. First, the colors bleed out. The blue of the ocean and the green of the summer grass become shades of gray. Then the edges blur. The memory of the wind becomes an abstract concept of movement rather than a felt sensation. Between the third and fifth hours, the subject experiences the shedding of the physical map. The geography of their life, the layout of their childhood home, the path they walk to work, the city skyline, begins to dissolve. These details, which once seemed so vital, are revealed to be temporary. The soul struggles to hold on to the sensation of being a physical entity in a physical world. The memory of the sun is particularly poignant. It is the last light to go. The subject may spend minutes trying to conjure the feeling of heat on their face, only to find that the memory has become a cold, intellectual fact rather than a living experience. The world is becoming a ghost, and the subject is the only thing that remains real. As the clock moves toward the middle of the night, we reach a pivotal minute, the moment the soul ceases to identify with its social status. In the world of the sun, we are defined by what we do, what we own, and what people call us. The subject was perhaps a doctor, a laborer, a parent, or a CEO. They had a bank account, a collection of trophies, and a reputation. But at approximately 5 hours into the first night, these earthly titles begin to lose their weight. In the narrow confines of the casket, there is no one to impress, no one to command, and no one to serve. The realization is stark. The wealth the subject accumulated, The house they labored to pay for and the clothes they chose with such care are now entirely irrelevant. The soul experiences a profound sense of lightness, though it may be accompanied by a terrifying clarity. The titles and honors that were once so heavy and significant are revealed to be nothing more than masks. When the mask is removed, what is left? Prophet Muhammad stated in Bukhari and Muslim, 3 things follow the deceased: family, wealth, and deeds. 2 return, and only your deeds remain in the grave forever. The social hierarchy of the surface is flattened into the dark, egalitarian soil. The king and the pauper are identical in this hour. Both are simply consciousnesses facing the void. The pride of achievement and the sting of worldly failure both evaporate into the same cool, indifferent air of the tomb. From the 8th hour until the onset of dawn above, the subject enters a period of intense internal dialogue. This is not a conversation with another, but a singular, unvarnished confrontation with the self. Without the distractions of the material world, no screens to watch, no books to read, no people to talk to, the soul is forced to account for its own identity. The noise of the world, which acted as a constant background hum for a lifetime, is finally silenced. In this silence, the soul's true voice becomes audible for the first time. The internal dialogue is often a process of coming to terms with the singular identity that remains after everything else is gone. 2 angels, Munkar and Nakir, descend with blue-black terrifying countenances to ask, "Who is your Lord? What is your deen? Who is this prophet sent among you?" This is the moment of spiritual integration. The fragmented pieces of a life, the different roles played for different people, begin to merge into one final, coherent record. The soul recognizes that it is not its career, its mistakes, or its successes. It is the sum of its intentions and the essence of its character. The singular identity is all that can survive the passage through the earth. Everything else was just luggage, left behind at the cemetery gate. As the first night draws to a close, and the world above prepares for a new day, the subject reaches a state of absolute clarity. The noise has stopped. The fading of earthly memory is not a loss, but a sharpening. When the distractions of the flesh and the vanities of the world are silenced, the soul sees its path with a terrifying and beautiful precision. The clutter of a lifetime is gone, leaving only the fundamental truths. This clarity is the final gift, or the final burden, of the first night. The subject is no longer a person of the earth, but a being of the transition. They have survived the squeeze of the grave and the shedding of their earthly skin. As the memories of the sun and the wind become nothing more than ancient history, a new sense begins to awaken. The atmosphere in the chamber is shifting. The darkness is no longer just an absence of light. It is beginning to carry a scent, a breath from a world even deeper than this one. The journey of the mind is ending, and the journey of the spirit is about to take on a new, sensory dimension. The silence is complete, but in that silence, something is approaching. For the righteous soul, a window to Jannah opens, spreading heavenly perfume and light across the grave until the day of resurrection. Prepare your soul today.